Mike, turn your games down.
Hi, we're to a comic episode of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and who's Morphin with me tonight?
Actually, Rita's minion, Red Foxx.
This is Joe Butler, and I keep having these weird visions of the future.
Is it the future or just having nightmares?
Kind of see stuff.
I guess it's a
Weird hallucinations.
Yes, of a woman that wants to control him, pretty much. So, this is a long time coming, but we are bringing you the first volume of the new Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I think that's what it's called, right? Or is it just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers?
This is Mighty Morphin.
Okay. Somewhere I saw new. I don't know.
I think that's the way they label it now, but when this came out, it was just Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Okay. And it's the Boom Studios run from 2016. We're going to cover some of... we'll see how far we get, but the plan is to cover more of these, but we're covering Volume 1 for this conversation, which is issues 0 through 4 of this run that started it. That's actually, I think, just ended or is ending?
This run is now... I think it's just now ending.
Oh,
it's still going now, but it's ending soon.
So I know you had talked about this before many, many times, Rich. I don't... It didn't have my attention because it's Power Rangers, and I didn't care about Power Rangers a whole lot until, like, last year when you guys started, when all three of us started reading Power Ranger comics. So that got me into it. But I thought it was interesting because this isn't an intro story. This takes place not origin story. This takes place after they've been the Rangers for a little bit. I think that's interesting.
Right. The original 6 are already established. We know who they are, and they don't treat us like we're new to it. And I think that's the best way they could have done it.
Agreed. So I have no history with this thing. I didn't even know it existed until Rich told me about it. Joe, what is your history with it?
I don't have any either. I've never actually tried to read them just because getting comics is kind of hard. That's one thing I can always complain about. Give an example. Like I said before, I went and bought what I thought was the first volume, and it wasn't it. And I don't know why, even though the description said it was chapters 0 to 4. But comics are always a weird thing. You can walk in there and be like, I'd like to have the first couple Power Ranger chapters, and not only not specific, it could be like, all right, here's the first volume of Power Rangers. Oh, cool, this is $70. I sure as hell don't fucking have that. GameStop always has because I frequent GameStop a lot less now, but when I did, I used to always see the stuff. So at some point, I got my hands on a couple of the statues and stuff like that.
Oh.
So I've been wanting to read them.
I've been curious about it. And Rich, what is your history with this?
Well, once saw that it came out, I've been following it very early. Turtles, I think it took a couple of years to get into it. This I followed stayed right away, kept up with it best I could. I was very current until the last couple of months, but otherwise I was very current and up to date with this thing, and I love it. It's a good alternative to my Turtle reading, especially when Turtles took a turn for the worse.
Yeah, this is, I think, a 120 issue run with a few other spinoffs, but not much. So much more contained than Turtles. Turtles is insane. But it's just nice that this it respects you, that it knows that the people reading this are going to be fans. This is all written by Kyle Higgins, at least what we're talking about today. Illustrated by Henry Presetta.
Someone tell me who I have to sacrifice to get this turned into at least a cartoon. I'll even settle for it being on an okay CG, because the writing is well written. It doesn't treat like it's a kid show originally. It treats you hey, you're a grown adult who knows about Power Rangers. And even then, it's not overly they're all adults and they're all drugged and sexed out. No, this is only maybe a year later, probably, from what they established would be on TV.
It might not even be that late in, honestly. It's pretty well new after Tommy joined the team. So after the Green with Evil arc, this is not too long after.
Mm-hmm. But I could totally see this being like I said, even CG I take, because it's well written. The pacing looks really good. Even where it ends, I'm very interested, and probably I was I'll stop here, but I will admit I will probably keep reading because I'm super dug in. It's got me by the heels.
I agree with that. I wish they would translate this into some other form of media. I'd be all for it. I know Netflix was kind of doing their thing for a minute, and they dropped the Power Rangers license very recently, within the last week or so. Mm-hmm. So our dreams of that is down the drain.
Doesn't anything of the Power Ranger license still come with the damn Saban, unfortunately?
I'm not 100% positive anymore. I know Hasbro owns it currently.
Okay.
So I don't know exactly. I don't think it would anymore.
Good. He's part of the problem.
He is part of the problem.
Oh, and there is a title because I found another tab. This is the first 23 issues are part of the Rise of Drakon. So, which now makes a lot more sense of what we just read.
Is that how you pronounce that, Rich?
I've always said Drakon, but
Drakon? Oh,
that's fine.
Oh, it's if that's who that is, yeah, Mike, it's Drakon. I think they confirmed. There's like a little short like live action trailer for this. It's Drakon.
And they pronounce it Drakon. Yeah.
okay. That's later with the short when you get to the more when he finally shows up. But that's what I was wondering because I just found something that has a little like parentheses of what story arc you're in, and that's what this is.
Yeah, this is all a very large build-up. Like the whole big climax of everything is pretty much when we see Drakon and that whole big arc. This is all that lead up to it.
Okay.
Plus, you tell me anything that involves the Green Ranger, I'm always down for that. So seeing like the first chapters of this, I'm like, oh yeah, this needs to be injected directly into my veins.
Oh yeah, I mean, and they treated it well too. I mean, yeah, I feel like they were pandering a little bit, like, oh, let's have a Green Ranger focus, but they did it so damn well. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, I was just happy, like, with the first... This starts off with issue 0, which had to be a free issue. This feels like this has Free Comic Book Day written all over it. It doesn't say that on the comic, but I feel like this had to have been a free comic book thing.
It's very possible. I think it's shorter than the rest, too.
Mm-hmm.
It was when you don't bother to read that Skull and Bolt thing. It's really short.
Oh, I always skip those anyway.
I skip those, too.
They're weird.
Got two characters I don't care about in the first place. But I didn't even think about it. Like, the first thing you see, is that supposed to be him seeing in the future where it's Tommy, the Green Ranger, standing over a bunch of the bodies of the crumpled Rangers in some space with Rita talking to him? I didn't realize he was seeing the future.
This is a very gray area here.
Okay.
I won't say it's the future, but what I can say is that there's two ways that you can go about that scene, and it'll probably make sense once this arc unfolds a little bit more for you guys. I don't want to really ruin it, but that is not necessarily a dream, but it's not the future.
Okay, I took it as a prelude, but at the same time, it's not a prelude, I'm assuming, because that's what I thought it was originally, but maybe he doesn't have that sword that he's holding, or is that the sword he had in the fucking Green with Evil thing that we covered?
That is the dark sword.
Okay, so it could be seen as part of that six episode arc.
But it's not. But yes. Okay. Yeah. As you can see, these Rangers are on the ground with Rita there. They are defeated. This is, again, not the future, but also not a dream.
Okay. I mean, I know a little bit because I know, like, a little bit about Drakon, or Drakon, however you say it. Drakon. I know a little bit about him, like, because of just the zeitgeist people.
Oh, yeah.
So, like,
I mean, it was
big.
That was a big resurgence in Power Rangers. Like, the attention on Power Rangers, the spotlight, again, was on Rangers when Drakon kind of appeared. People wanted to see live action, and then they got that commercial with JDF. Like, people went nuts.
Okay, I do vaguely remember that because I didn't give a shit. And I remember people going, "Oh," I'm like, "Oh, that's nice." So I do.
What were we gonna ask?
I'm not sure. I don't remember what I was saying. But
I mean, to be fair, I'm familiar with like what is it called? I'm familiar with not time travel rules, but very vaguely, I guess, referred to as fairy tale rules. So it's like I see this and it's like, oh, it's a possible future or it's a nightmare. It's goofy shit, goofy Power Ranger shit. I know what it is. It's fine. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean goofy Power Ranger shit?
Once you understand the origin of Drakon, then you'll understand this.
Like don't tell me if I'm right, but my opinion going into this, or my hypothesis, let's go with that word, is that his name is, comes from a different dimension. That was what I had gathered from the internet. My hypothesis. I can't think of the right word, so we're going with that word.
Theory.
Theory probably works.
Theory. Yeah, theory works.
Theory works better than hypothesis, but yes, theory. So that's what I think, because that's just what I had absorbed through the internet without ever really reading nor paying attention because I didn't give a shit.
All right, well, like I said, once you find out that origin, this will make sense.
Okay.
And they'll actually elaborate on it.
So this starts off with you have Tommy coming to school for the first time, the Angel Grove High School he's transferring. You have him, like, they already fought each other. He already became the Green Ranger, which, again, is nice that you treat the audience better, not like fucking idiots. That is nice. But they make him... It does remind me of Green with Evil when he's still being kind of controlled because he's kind of an asshole. But maybe that's just Tommy.
Sure. Well, you got to think, like, he's dealing with hallucinations. He's dealing with... At this point, we don't know necessarily. Is she like really kind of appearing in a sense that only he can see? Is he hallucinating? Like, what is it? It's just poking at him. It's prodding at him. He's a damaged individual about all this, as somebody should, going through a brainwashing situation.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
I had thought maybe like she was still controlling him when I first read it, and not, as you find out later, he's just having like hallucinations, Yeah, that's what they make it seem like.
It is, and they clear it up. It is most part that he's so broken, and his I guess as they show later with the whole like power grid or whatever that Dan kind of explains. Yeah,
It made no sense to me, but yes.
We'll get more.
Okay, but also I gotta say this is the like evilest Finster has ever looked.
Yeah,
in this first panel.
They definitely make him look more innocent, whatever.
For a guy that is a fucking bumbling idiot in the show.
Hey, let me say this before you doubt it too much. They go in this entire series. They go in the backstory, the origin of every minion of Rita, everyone, and you'll see Finster has a pretty dark past.
That's cool. I can't wait to hear about the fat blue guy. They can make him cool. I'll be impressed.
You know what? Do they cover Scorpina? They might not cover her, but I remember everybody else being covered.
Hey, she's in these early issues, so
there's also something going on with Goldar. He's like really pissed off about something. We don't figure out why yet, right?
Oh, because he failed. He green with evil art. He failed.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's cool. I like that. That's pretty fucking cool.
That is cool. I didn't put two and two together. That's what it was referencing. I mean, he does make a comment, and he's like, I lost Tommy. It's my fault. So, okay. I didn't really think about it being that's where it came from, but that makes perfect sense. But you see them morph for the first time, and Finster had made some giant Godzilla-looking monster that's attacking the city. There's not a lot in the Zero issue. You get them fighting, and you get where Tommy is screwing up and destroyed a bridge, and wasn't doing what he's supposed to do. I think that's the whole gist of this, correct?
Kind of the idea. Well, lives were at stake. He almost killed some people by purely what looked to be an accident. He can't explain why it's happening. He doesn't even fully understand. The team's watching him, and they're like, what the hell? We're trusting this guy. We broke the spell. Why is this happening? It's just a lot of uneasiness on both sides.
That's fair. That's a fair way to put it.
Has the Megazord always been able to detach other pieces off of itself? Because it kind of shoots out Kimberly.
I guess in theory it could. I mean, if like she's usually the last one to attach as the breastplate in the head. So if she needs to detach, I guess it makes sense.
I mean, it just didn't happen.
You want to detach damn saber-tooth tiger leg and hop around.
Well, I mean, it also didn't happen in the original show because they were just using old footage. So
yeah, it's not like they could have altered much.
I forgot what it was. Real small tangent. I was supposed to send you all a TikTok. I don't know if I can find it because I save a lot of them. There's supposed to be. There was one where one of the creators of the show, or one of the guys working on the show, was talking about how like he had to go to like a very like niche Japanese toy store because I think it was after Mighty Morphin. They needed, I guess, the Zeo Zords. And Sabin was like, hey, they didn't send us any of like the stuff, so y'all need to figure it out. So they had to go and spend their own money to like get the toys from the store and like mock them up and use them for the transformation sequences.
Yeah,
I can see that. I can see Saban saying, well, I'm not paying for that.
So when it came to the Dragon Zord, like you mentioned too, not only was Tommy being hallucinating at the time, but also the Dragon Zord was not responding to him correctly, which they do cover at some point.
Okay. They do talk a little bit about it in here, at least later. I mean, they do a good, like, right after that, and they warp back to their headquarters, and you start to have the beginning of Jason and Tommy just really not getting along. And I think that's a good dynamic in here.
I'm glad they did that. That's how it should be. You got to think, like, you got two guys that are kind of like the alpha males, the leaders, so to say, like they have those kind of personalities. And not only was Tommy evil, but like it's Jason's responsibility. I'm sure he feels to make sure that this guy is in line. He has the team's true best interest in mind.
Yeah, that's a fair way to put it.
Maybe we shouldn't have a bunch of teenagers running around with deadly powers if they're gonna like.
You think, Zordon? You think?
In the words of Ivan Ooze, I smell teenagers.
Oh God.
And then the end of this first free issue, I'm gotta be free, is you see Scorpiana shows up, or Scorpiana. How do you say her name, do you think?
Scorpina.
Well, I was off. But she shows up, and then she has some crystal that Rita wanted, and yeah, it says, to be continued.
The Chaos Crystal.
Oh.
Absorbs chaos energy.
Oh.
As we'll see later.
Okay.
Guys, should we cover it as we go, what that crystal's purpose is, or should we kind of go with it?
We'll go with what we'll cover it as it goes.
All right, so they're not really revealing everything just yet, but yes.
But I'm assuming there's probably more that wasn't even revealed in this arc. So in these 4 issues that we read today.
Oh, there is, because they didn't even show. Well, I guess they do show what happens with it, but there's so much more after that.
I figured there was a lot more coming, just because I just got that feeling.
And we got our first full-on issue.
And this is a really good cover for the first issue. It's where you have all the Rangers, and of course Green is in the front because why not? But it gets your attention.
Damn good art.
Yeah, they did really good art in here. I like the way they draw the characters. I thought it was all really good. And the way the first issue begins with having Skull and what the hell's the other idiot's name?
Skull and Bulk.
God, they're so fucking stupid.
Down to the goal.
But like they have their podcast, a video podcast. Yeah, it's so dumb. I think I was just irritated because it's like, what about audio podcasts, huh? What about just audio? For no reason though.
To be fair, you live in a town where giant kaiju attack and a bunch of dudes run around in spandex fighting them. I think having a video podcast would be fine.
I think it'd be pretty normal and probably not the only one.
That's also fair too.
Yes. You would definitely not be the only one. There would definitely be a ton of you out there.
The news would be the main one.
Yes, but I just thought it was funny where they're like, cut, like just the way they're talking because they didn't like it. But it's a nice way to recap what the Power Rangers are in like a couple pages. And there was an image I really like. One of the panels they have here shows a bunch of the previous monsters they fought, and it has my boy, the Finks, that I just really, really like that damn Finks.
It's a cool design.
I've always liked that Finks.
You got Pudgy Pig in the middle. That's episode number 1.
I didn't realize that was episode number 1.
It sadly was, yeah.
I don't like that pig.
I don't either. What I like is when they're Bulk and Skull are recording and it shows like the upward angle looking at the Megazord and Goldar. I thought that was such a really nice seeing it from the civilian's perspective, really.
Yeah, cool take. It was cool seeing them, like, as you had mentioned, the angle of just getting that. It reminded me a lot of Cloverfield. That's just that, seeing that and seeing kind of like this big monster attack the city. And it's cute when they have them interviewing, Skull is interviewing random teenagers from the school and some of them are the Power Rangers. I do like that. I thought that was cool. A nice little touch. They do try some unique things, I felt, in this.
They do. They have a lot more freedom to work with things. It's almost like when you're doing something live action, but then you go something that's fully CGI, you can get camera angles that you might not normally be able to without that CGI realm. I think it's kind of the same way here. Like they have the complete freedom to do what they want and how they want because they're creating it from scratch.
That's fair, and it's art, so you can do your own thing too.
Right.
It's easier. It's a lot cheaper to draw what you want than to pay someone to make it look real. So no, I really appreciated the way everything kind of came out. Like early on, you had the dynamic of them at the school and just seeing the way that they all interact with each other and seeing like where Tommy's having more of the hallucinations with Rita and her big pointy boobs and like just the way everything going with that. I felt it was very well done. It was it's humorous too. Like when they both get in trouble for Jason and Zach get in trouble because Zach was sleeping in class. I thought that was kind of humorous.
I think it's interesting too, like when if we're talking about the podcast, how Bulk and Skull are going around like interviewing people about the Green Ranger's actions, like his effects on society and the town and the city itself. Like that is a real thing that would happen. People would be concerned about something.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And actually ask the Green Ranger himself.
Especially with them blowing shit up like on a weekly basis. Like people will have opinions on it.
Yes,
I would definitely think the government would be a lot more involved or trying to be at least in what's going on here because that they're at the mercy of these mysterious rangers.
I did find it interesting how they know who Rita is. Like they know that Rita came here and waged war like a year ago. Like that. I thought that was an interesting take on it too. To have it mentioned in there.
Mm-hmm. Also, this is like a year later. No shit, huh?
I think they said a year later. There's some kind of comment. I'm not going back to scroll, but yes, there's some kind of comment.
What? I would imagine that like it would be a year that they end up getting like Tommy on their team and things like that because they do goofy shit. And it's like we mentioned a little bit earlier, like they're not doing it every day. If anything, they're probably fighting Rita at least, if not once, maybe twice a week. But not twice a week, but at least twice a month.
Yeah.
So it makes sense that it would be a year since she's shown up.
And it's in this issue. You also get the first appearance of Baboon. And is it just me, or he just for the first time he actually looks like diabolical in this?
Well, it seems like they're trying to make all the monsters a bit scarier looking. It's Babu.
Oh. But he actually looks like he doesn't look like a cartoon comic idiot like he normally does.
He definitely looks a lot more menacing in this too. Yes.
So I thought that was cool to see for a change. Because normally he's never a character I say, oh, look at that badass. Those are not words you would hear me utter. So,
yeah, and that side shot looks pretty badass.
Yeah, it's just strange. I don't have a problem with it. I was like, okay. I also like this idea because the next couple pages you're dropped into, which you don't know this, but it's it's the Green Ranger and Kimberly, and they're both trying to save civilians, and then he gets overrun by putties, and then you find out that they're essentially in their version of the danger room, in quotations.
Pretty much.
I thought that was a really cool. I wasn't expecting that. That was a really cool thing to do, to have the danger room.
Gives you a different take too, to where Tommy, even though he failed, he's willing to keep trying and trying. And Tim tells him, like, design that. No matter what you did, you were going to fail. See how you could handle it too. But he just keeps going again and again. That's how dedicated he is to proving himself to the team and also himself, and kind of shaking off some of the doubt that the rest of the team has for him.
Because they do have a lot of doubt for him at this point. So
especially Zach. And Jason's not on that page yet. He kind of has some doubt, but Zach's the main one. He's like, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
Very much. So I was surprised to see Zach really take that kind of like spot. I didn't expect that.
What's even more interesting is later on, you're going to see why that's even more important that they had Zach say that. And I can't wait to get to that point. And I'll point it out to you guys when it happens. But Zach actually has some history in this, the whole thing too.
Okay. And I mean, there's a little bit where he's like, oh, he's tired. And I was thinking, well, it's because that, they're fucking Power Rangers. They're fighting evil by moonlight and winning love by daylight. So they're too busy. But then he's like, oh, I'm just busy. Like, it wasn't like, because Jason's confused. I'm like, well, if Jason's confused, then it must not be Power Ranger stuff. It has to be something else going on in his life. That's how I took that.
It's also very fine because it doesn't really lean mainly into it, but it also makes sense. Like, someone on that team has to be like, at least be like, dude, this guy whooped our ass hard, and we're just kind of like okay with him now. So I'm completely fine with at least one person, and it wouldn't make sense for Billy to do it. And I don't know. I still don't know what's going on with Kim and Jason to this day. So it's whatever.
Well, in this, Kim just wants to fuck him. So that's kind of how I took it.
Yeah.
I mean, I like it. I was like, okay, I'm go for it. But like with Tommy, she's like, hey, let's go get coffee. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, I don't remember asking. Oh, I know. Okay, not remembering. I know I didn't ask any girl in high school, nor any girl asked me, want to get coffee?
She's been watching Luke Cage.
Oh, I love that scene. Oh, that show. That first season was great.
I haven't watched it.
It's worth it.
The series is also nice to take it a little bit seriously. I guess I hope if they do end up doing anything with this, I hope they kind of keep the same tone, because it's really easily to see the putties as like something completely terrifying without them going like woo 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 every like 5 fucking minutes.
True. I don't know. I think it's going to determine, like, are they going to make this solely for kids, or are they going to have it kind of in between like it is now in the comics?
I mean, the putties actually come off as like a force for the first time, and that's weird to me.
They can be a danger. They take them a little bit seriously,
and then
they should.
Yeah, I mean, I think we mentioned this before. But man, a Muso Power Rangers would be fun.
What would be
Muso Power Ranger, like Dynasty Warriors game?
I'll play the shit out of that.
So
yeah, I'd be down.
And then the first issue ends with Tommy goes back to his house, and Scorpina's waiting for him and puts a sword, which has the dark crystal in it, up to his neck, and then the issue ends. But this has got to be the first time that I have ever remember them going to their house, anyone's house, and confront the Power Rangers as a human. That's interesting to me. I don't remember that.
Common practice. I can't remember. I know they've done something like there was I think it was in Trini's room, if I can remember right, where they made one of her like toys that she had into a monster. But I think that's as close as we might have got. But like have Scorpina or anybody else like kind of make an appearance in their home, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
It's in the movie.
Which
the new movie, the new live action.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
I meant original show, but yeah, no, I got you.
No, we watched it. The 20 whatever the remake movie.
Oh yes, you're right.
I know exactly what you mean, but I'm saying like when I was referencing the original show. Like,
yeah, the original show. Yeah.
Yeah, in the original show they don't, but yeah, now I know what you mean now.
Yeah.
My brain froze.
Also, did not notice that crystal in her sharp boomerang either.
I did not the other 2 times I read this. So. Not until I'm scrolling through it with it in front of me right now. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Because the whole idea is that you find out that they need, as Rich had mentioned, chaos energy, so she can do chaos control, so she can then do whatever she's up to with the crystal. You'll find out later, but that's what she's trying to get Tommy to do.
Oh, fuck, that is that thing, isn't it? Fuck. I'm a huge Shadow the Hedgehog fan as well. It's all just rolling up into one big circle.
So the cover of the second issue, this is a badass cover. You have, I don't know who the hell is that supposed to be Goldar standing there with the sword facing the Megazord? I can't tell.
Yes, it is. It's Goldar.
Okay.
And then you have Tommy fighting Scorpina, and for some reason Tommy is really, really jacked and anorexic at the same time in this image right here. So, yeah. But it's cool. This is a good thing that you don't see a lot. Is here you have Billy and Trini working together, and they're going inside the Dragon Zord and looking at it, and they're talking about it, and it's just very cool because I feel like you don't get a lot of that in the original show. Or at least I don't remember any of that. Maybe it's just because I didn't watch the original
them
show.
being in the Megazord wasn't a very common thing at all. Them two working together in the original show was definitely a thing, but as far as going into the Zords like this offline, not really.
It was just cool to see. I just liked having them working together and having them, like, you kind of get to see where they're not against Tommy. Like, Zach is very much, and so is Jason, because Jason's an asshole in this book.
Not yet. There's, as time goes on.
There's more?
No, I'm saying as in, like, so far from the last issue to now, like, Jason's slowly trusting Tommy less and less as he sees the instability, which I think is pretty normal, because Jason, being the leader of the team, looks to Zordon as the next person in line to, like, help him out when he has questions or doubts. And he's trusting, and he said it, I think, even in the last issue, he's trusting Zordon's word, to trust Tommy. So he's doing everything he can to follow that, but he sees the signs otherwise.
Well, I mean, when they find out a little bit later how Tommy's having visions and not telling anybody, like that's a way to build trust. Whew.
Big thing. I will say the pairing of Trini and Billy was also done in the show too, as Trini was like almost like Billy's translator. Like anytime he had his nerdisms, she'd tell the group like, "This is actually what he means."
Nerdism. Okay, I don't remember that, but again, the show's not really in my memory. It wasn't something that I watched for too long before I just gave up on it.
The in the suits was the more fun part anyway. So
yeah, I just like seeing the way they in this comic. This is the first time where I really see the Dragon Zord as Godzilla, and there's multiple panels where it's Godzilla. That's all I see, and I think that's really cool. And then it cuts back to Scorpina and Tommy in his room, and again, I think this is one of the first times you see it where his mother almost gets involved. Because Scorpina's like, "Well, I'll just go kill your mother then. If maybe you'll talk then." And that's what triggers him to then teleport her and him out to the forest somewhere. But it was just really cool because it's like this is what they would do, especially in the case where they know the guy's secret identity. They're like, "Yeah, we'll go to your house and just kill your parents because we know who you are, Peter Parker." Like, it makes sense. I thought it was a good take.
Why they don't do more of that, I don't know.
I mean, the whole idea why you have to keep hidden. I do like how as he's fighting Scorpina, he gets his ass kind of handed to him in this little fight here until the Rangers all show up. Because the putties this is when you see, like we kind of mentioned earlier, the putties actually are able to hold their own. Like they're actually a force. It's cool.
I also like the thing where it shows Jason's room. That's very much something a teenager would have. And the mom also just has stacks upon stacks of green clothes.
Yeah, that's cute. It's just cute little moments to kind of build. I'm good with that. And then you have a small scene where Jason has a karate class, and I think later on the teacher says you should have Tommy join you and teach too, just to add more salt to the fire, or salt to the wound, I should say. Yeah,
he was not too happy to hear that.
But it helps build that mistrust that they, showing what they have between each other, which Rita's taken advantage of. Like when the other Rangers show up to save Tommy, because of the hallucinations of Rita, he's like, "Oh, you're assholes. You don't trust me. You don't think I could handle myself." Like, you were losing, buddy. You were tied up by a putty to a tree. Like, you were all like, yeah, you weren't doing too good here. So I really like Scorpina. I really like that character design.
Pretty cool design.
She is. And I like the drawing better than I did when I was watching the old Power Rangers show. I'm like, this looks better because it's just so goofy. But in 4 issues, they do such a good job of building this antitrust for Tommy and this dislike between Tommy and Jason. They do a really good job of cranking it up in 4 issues. Mm-hmm. This issue ends with Tommy passing out. He just passes out in headquarters, and then they're upset. And then that brings us to issue 3. This is an okay cover. Well, maybe, okay, I lied. This is a cool cover with Dragon Zord in the background, and then they're in the command center or something, and they're looking at, and you look like Godzilla's eyes. Oh, they're on a roof, and then Tommy's passed out. That is a cool cover.
I don't know why I saw the cover. I thought they were inside a Zord trying to look from the outside. I was like,
I did too. I didn't realize it was a roof till as I was opening my mouth and talking. I was like, oh, that's what it is. Comic covers are so damn cool in general. They just are.
They're meant to be eye catching. So
yeah, and they make great wall ornaments too. I have a whole bunch around my basement currently that I'm looking at. So issue 3 starts off with Goldar in the prison, which a nice throwback is the prison cell that they were in with Green with Evil.
I think might be called the Dark Dimension, if I'm right.
I'm pretty sure you are right. But I don't know if you noticed, but Goldar is also has like chains on him too. Like he's chained in this place too. He's not just in there.
Oh yeah, he is.
I didn't catch that the first time. The next scene is so fucking creepy where Tommy's laying on the couch and his mother's talking to him and she's like, "It's because you don't have to be the ranger." And she's like, "What?" And then he's like, "What?" And then she just pulls off her face and it's Rita. Like, it's so fucking creepy.
I love the horror elements in that sense.
It's good. It's well done.
It fits.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I was surprised by that. But again, it helps build the mistrust that he's having because I don't think he tells them yet what's happening. Like he just lies that, "Oh, I'm just tired," or, some bullshit like that.
Yeah, he's still not telling them what's going on.
So I was a little confused what happens here. So they take the power crystal, they bring a half beaten up putty and then put the crystal inside him or something.
So the whole idea is Scorpina, I think she even mentions it here, but you entrusted me to retrieve the green power coin and the dragon dagger. So that Scorpina thought that was most of her goals to get those, and she failed, and she was ready to receive punishment from Rita. But what Rita really wanted was just to gain more energy, chaos energy from the crystal, which Scorpina accomplished. She gained a hell of a lot of energy with that. There's only just a little bit more needed for what they need done. So Rita's saying instead, she's like, "Don't worry about the coin or the dagger. We can still control the Dragon Zord by making our own dagger." So Finster comes out, uses the mold of that putty with a stab wound from the dragon dagger.
Oh, that did not compute. Okay. None of that computed until just now when you said it.
Yep.
So this is what
their makeshift dagger at the end of the day because that putty I got stabbed.
Okay. That makes sense. I just did not catch it. So, and then you have Trini with Tommy and she's doing it's kind of cool that they have a little lab. They have looks like an MRI scanner and stuff. That's kind of cool. This ends up being a hallucination again where he thinks the Dragon Zord's attacking and Trini's fighting in the saber-tooth tiger, but it's all a dream, I guess, or it's all fake.
Yeah, it's all hallucination. He can't port into the Dragon Zord. I mean, this almost happens anyway, but it's all fake, hallucination, dream.
It is cool to see the Zords, not the Megazord, actually do something because you don't see that in the show because, well, money. So it's kind of nice to have that here where you see the Sabretooth trying to fight the Dragon Zord by itself and just nice touch.
And I like seeing it next to the command center too. That was pretty cool.
Same. And that command center is a real place you can go visit in California.
True. I should have thought when I was there.
You didn't know that? Yeah, I didn't know it. I mean,
I knew it, but I didn't think of it.
Isn't it a church?
Yes, it's a Jewish church for a college that they filmed from the outside like that to get that shot. I don't even know if it's on a hill like that or they just added the hill that's where that building is from. Which someday I want to go to that building and get a picture in front of it now. But I'm assuming that the mountain isn't actually there. It's just that they just took the picture of the building, cut it out, and put it on a mountain and said, "Here you go." Because that feels like something cheap they would do too. I mean, it works, so I can't argue with what works. You have a couple of small things happen. When they're back they're back at the command center, and this is when Trini kind of tells him that his scan was off, that you could see all the energy. And I think this is when he finally comes clean about the hallucinations that he's been having.
I don't think he says it yet. Down here with the screens you're talking about?
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he tells them about the hallucinations.
Yep. Everything comes to light. I mean, she's showing a physical representation of what's going on with this guy. So what's the better time now?
I thought it was well done. And then Scorpina is driving the Dragon Zord because of the fake dagger they made. But this last panel, that's fucking Godzilla right there. You see the Dragon Zord in the water, and you see the yacht above it, and it's just about to ruin everyone's day, everyone's life. Mm-hmm. It's fucking Godzilla.
And Tommy is also eventually told to not.
Wonder why the dagger is made of gold. Wonder if that's important.
I don't think they cover it after that. I don't know why they do. I mean, look at Scorpina, look at Golar. Maybe it has something to do with that's their typical kind of go-to on stuff like this, or anything metallic.
Okay. And this brings us to the last issue of this part. The fourth cover is kind of cool. You have the Rangers on the left side fighting, I guess, supposed to be, that's one of those giant shark things that he created, I'm guessing, is what I see on the right side of the panel, of the cover.
Black Dragon.
Oh, I cannot tell.
Wait, is that the thing that's at the end of the chapter?
Yeah, Black
and they
Dragon.
call it Black Dragon.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with White Dragon, JDF's movie that's supposed to still be coming.
No.
He does have a movie coming out. Doesn't he?
Yeah, they've recut that movie like 15 times.
They have. I actually funded it when it was on whatever that shit, Kickstarter.
Oh, why is it Legend of the White Dragon? Supposedly came out. It says 2023 here, but didn't come out yet, did it?
Nope.
They had an official screening of it, I think, but COVID. To be fair, like right when they started filming, COVID happened, and then like I think right when they wrapped up filming, did they wrap up filming before he died?
I think they still had a little bit to go. I thought.
That's what I was thinking too. I think they were almost done, and then he died, and they're like, okay, we have to recut the movie now again, because I think they may have made a new ending because of it, or who knows, but I can't tell you.
Okay, it's supposed to come out this year, September 4th, 2024, with a budget of $508,000. So, okay, I forgot. I remember hearing about it, but I know it's like it's not a Power Ranger thing, but it's supposed to look like Power Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
It's all like a fan film, but I didn't pay any attention to it because I didn't care. So.
Super a fan film.
Okay, I do have more questions about that thing on the cover, but we'll get there shortly. But seeing the Dragon Zord just being a Godzilla type, and like, all the people in the yacht, most of those people are dead. Like, when he starts to go into town, like, it's really cool to see just the Dragon Zord just destroying Angel Grove. It's a nice touch. And you get something that you don't see enough, I feel like, in here, where you see again, you have more of the Zords fighting by them, not as a Megazord, like trying to pull him out of the city. And it's just nice to see them not morph immediately and fight differently for a change.
Also a big fan of those shark creatures. Those look fucking cool.
Those shark creatures are really cool. And he made 3 of them, which he was actually smart. Like, why don't, instead of just making one monster, because the episode only called for 1, let's make 3 and put them together. Like, and they fight instead of just saying, like, one's a lipstick, one's lips, one's ears, one's eyes. God, that was a terrible monster design.
Yeah.
You remember what I'm talking about, Joe?
No, but
there's a trio of monsters in one of the original show episodes of season 1 where it looks like a giant ears and giant nose or something. It's really stupid.
Look, I still watch Super Sentai. I still keep up with most of Super Sentai and Kamen Rider. It pretty much keeps it the same way until current iterations, because at the end of the day, it is still very much a kid's show.
And that's fair. I mean, there's nothing. I just remember it being really stupid. Even when I was a kid, I thought it was stupid. So that's saying something.
I think what's interesting here too is you get to see some other abilities from the Zords. Underwater mode, Triceratops, horn chains.
Yeah, stuff you never seen before.
Those chains are cool.
Well, just seeing the Zords get to do something not as the Megazord, and then they're actually like fending off the sharks. Like, they're actually fighting, and they're not just, we gotta morph immediately. Like, it's cool to see the T-Rex actually holding his own against the Dragon Zord for a little bit. Not for long, but for a little bit. Just nice touches. And then you have a small part with Tommy.
They don't trust him. He can't even teleport into his own Zord. But this is when he finally comes into his own.
And I think it is interesting how he just, tells, like, I'm sick of you, and just talks away the hallucinations. I'm assuming they're not gone, but I get it. It works. I
want to hope that they're gone, because honestly, that's always a really good way to, like, showcase that he's done what he's done. At the end of the day, they are just hallucinations. And did they say, is it actually Rita, or is it just like actually him like hallucinating?
They say it's him hallucinating.
Okay, yeah. So it's the ending of Batman. You tell your inner turmoil to fuck off, and it does it.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Him dealing with the trauma, what happened to him, and part of the thing to deal with trauma is to face it. So I get it. And I that's probably what they're going for. Since I know what the arc is now called, I'm assuming that she's not gone just because of the title of the arc. But I could be wrong.
What I also find interesting is Zordon's directly telling him, like, man, you got an order from Jason. You need to listen to that. Don't go out there. And Tommy's like, fuck that. I'm taking initiative. We're doing this.
I mean, I feel like they need to help. Like, I don't think things would have worked out well had he not came.
And that's what they say. It is possible it could have, but it would have been a lot worse, a lot more collateral damage. To pull it off.
Well, they also would have lost the Dragon Zord because, like, yes, when they finally do morph together, they take out the shark things, but without Tommy going there and then jumping off of the pterodactyl and kicking Scorpina right through the window to take over the Dragon Zord, like, they wouldn't have been able to get it that easily. They would have had to go through the trouble and fighting it hand to hand, and they might have lost it and destroyed it. I mean, I'm assuming these Zords you can't. I mean, I know they self-repair from one of our earlier Power Rangers conversations, but like, it's not like you can just get new ones. Well, I mean, you do obviously, but, that comes with a new power set, a new point.
Well, I think the idea too behind it is if maybe they can't be completely destroyed, which is a bad thing too. But also, if, like, let's say if they can't, they would still need to be put back into commission. And God knows, next week there happens to be something that requires both, the Dragon Zord power up, and then it's like, oh well, our asses are gonna get kicked because the villains actually thought for once.
Yeah, it makes sense why he does what he does in this, and because he breaks the crystal, but when they get back to Command Center, you have Jason and Zach just tearing into him like fucking assholes. And I was wondering if it was supposed to be part of the crystal, like, generating that hate. I don't think that's not the case, is it?
You got to generate the animosity and aggressiveness for the crystal. It doesn't do it for you.
Okay, because I was thinking it was kind of like the purple ooze in Ghostbusters 2, where it just makes them angrier.
Right. No, not in this case.
They're just real assholes, huh?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much that's what's happening. They're just feeding off the crystal's feeding off the negative energy.
That's fair. I mean, it just shows you, like, and you know what? Having Jason be an asshole does kind of fit the fact that it's based off Austin St. John. So I'm like, okay, that's probably not that far off, considering the last time he was in the news.
You'll learn to love that character as they go along in this. They do put a lot of emphasis on him too. The time.
I'm assuming everything is so well written already in this that I'm assuming I'm gonna end up, the more we read this, I'll end up really loving these characters.
All of them get a decent amount of shine.
And then the crystal blows up, I guess, and then the control center is destroyed. And what the hell is this thing that just shows up? Like, I was thinking at first it was because it all of a sudden you see this giant, like, creature mech looking thingy, then it shrinks down and says, I've been looking forward to destroying you for some time. Who wants to go first? That's it.
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what the fuck that thing is, but that thing is honestly, like, that's a sweet fucking design.
You'll know very soon who and what the fuck that is.
I clicked forward to issue 5 the moment I finished reading this. I wanted to see. I didn't want to read it, but I just wanted to look. And the first couple things I was reading, I didn't read anything but just scrolling through the pictures, had nothing to do with that. Like, it did not continue immediately after that. And I'm like, come on now.
That's fine.
How can you do that to me?
So. Yep. You'll once you put the pieces together with that, it'll be very interesting for you.
Oh, I see. Because the next issue is 1 month before Tommy. So those assholes. They're like, hey, we know you want to know, but we're going to give you a different story instead.
Honestly, don't even remember this next one. What the fuck?
There's also an annual, I think, that comes next. Yeah, next is the annual 2016, and then 5 through 8.
This one here. What is it? The next one?
Annual 2016.
Oh, and then to 5 and beyond, or no?
And then 5. And then 5 is a prequel to before Tommy comes.
So look at the cover of the next one. Yeah, it's Zach being pulled. Remember what I said about some history there?
Yeah.
Take that in consideration. This issue covers it. You're going to love it.
And of course, the annual is its own story, and it looks awful.
Annuals are so ass.
This looks terrible. Yeah, no, I mean, annual's going to work, but I don't know. I mean, it's why they don't do them as much anymore. Like, apparently this run only has like 3 annuals, and this run went for longer than what they just stopped doing it. Like, yeah, it's stupid.
Usually it's a lot of recapping or like side stories that don't matter. That's what I hate about it. I don't even know if this annual's fucking worth it, dude. Like, because I don't really know if it has much to do with the story.
Yeah,
okay. Well, there's a Goldar backstory in here. That's interesting. Please.
We'll cover it. Our next time we come back to this will be the annual, and then 5, 6, 7, 8.
Okay. Now, there's some important shit in here. Well, it's not going to make or break the story going forward, but yeah, it's shit we should, at least some of it should.
Okay.
Yeah, I skimmed through that 5th chapter. Okay, I see what you're talking about. Then that's actually
it's a prequel.
Cool.
So
yeah, I'm excited.
Because you have 5 through 8, then you have the Power Ranger Pink 6-issue miniseries, and then it jumps back into the actual run. So, which is not that bad. It's not as bad as some of the stuff I freaking have read, like Turtles, where like we just constantly kept jumping away. But before we go to Shelf Stacker Box, I'm going to do something a little different. Joe, what do you think so far after reading 4 issues? I already know the answer, but I take, like, if you would have just picked this up at the randomly comic book store, how in would you be at this point?
Oh, I'd be super in. Like I said earlier, you don't even have to give me, like, you tell me a little bit about the Green Ranger. Like, it's all really well written. I'm super digging, like, Rita being an actual, genuine, like, bad guy. A lot of, like, even the bad guys' art, like, them being more menacing looks really good. You know, and it goes just to prove, like, I think I've mentioned it earlier, like, I watched, they redid the original Kamen Rider into, like, a movie, and the movie's, like, rated R, but just for violence. But even then, like, it just proved, like, you can have, like, the original suits and the original bad guys and everything and still write, like, a really good, well-written story.
I mean, there's stuff there. You just can't be super cheap. So there's that too. But there's stuff there. Like, I mean, and to kind of give you my point, like, I read this, like, I am becoming more of a Power Ranger fan the more we have done episodes about it. And I'm definitely interested. Now that I know that the next part is kind of like a prequel thing, and that's why it doesn't continue on, I'm definitely interested to read more and to see where this goes. And it was very well written, which was nice.
Very good writing. Hit it out the park there.
Yeah, it's good writing. And the art was fun. Like, the art was good too. We didn't really talk about it, but the art for all of it was good. I liked it. And it stayed the same. They didn't change, which I hate when you change art in the middle of an arc. I get very upset about it.
Oh, you mean where we read the first part and it goes to the weird cartoony Bulk and Skull, like, Fun Time Hour, and it just looks fucking weird?
That's just the backup that you just don't read. So it's easy enough to say no. Like, I hate it when it's actually part of the story and it changes the art just because the artist that they had wasn't able to do it, so you get somebody else. Like, I get it, but it bugs me.
It's fun. It's funny you mentioned that, because there's, like, I don't know if I can find it, but there's, like, mentions of, like, how Power Rangers does that. Not Power Rangers. Dragon Ball Z does that a lot. You can tell which, like, creative drawing director made each episode, because there's, like, different ways they draw Vegeta and Goku and all that.
I mean, that just comes with, unfortunately, that's just part of art, because you're not going to have one person do everything.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it bothers me. I won't lie. All right, I think we should go to Shelf Stacker Box. And Joe, why don't you go first?
Oh, this is definitely going on the shelf. Honestly, I'm gonna fucking waddle down to fucking Barnes and Nobles at some point and, like, buy these books fucking physically. But yeah, this is super awesome. Love it. It's fantastic.
All right, I'll go next. I'm gonna put this on the shelf. I enjoyed this. This was a good four-issue arc. It got me interested in more. I am definitely curious to see where this goes. I do want to read more Turtles, by the way. Let's not forget that part, Rich. I still want more Turtles, but I'm definitely curious to see more Power Rangers, and I did enjoy it. So they go on the shelf. And what about you, Rich?
Shelving this shit, man. I don't think there's much more I can say. Honestly, like, it's damn good all around. Great art.
No, you've been campaigning for this for a long time, championing it.
There's not much more.
So I'm excited to read more. I mean, because, like, one of the things that I'm definitely interested in, the whole Shatter Grid thing, because that's something that was hugely in the zeitgeist back when it happened. Another thing I'm very excited to.
There's resurgence we've had because of that arc and that character, that Drakon character. So there's a big reason that it made the waves that it did.
I mean, that's what's great about comics. Like, especially when you have people, like, you can feel that this guy loves what he's writing. And you can also tell, I'm assuming this is not the guy that wrote that terrible Justice League vs. Power Rangers thing. But you can just feel the love he has for these characters. And he wrote something good because of it.
Mm-hmm. And he uses what he can, too. Because, like, all the stuff about, like, the grid stuff and all that is, even weirdly, I want to say it's 100% all us. Because, like, I think I sent you all the synopsis to, like, the ZU Rangers, which is just, like, the idea of, like, the humans are actually dinosaur hybrids, and, like, Rita Repulsa hates Zordon because apparently they killed her son, like, 1,000 years ago. So all of this is all our stuff, and they're doing it really well.
Yeah, it's a good beginning.
Excited to see where it goes.
Same. I'm definitely up for reading more. So I don't know when we're going to read more. But
you won't be disappointed at all. Trust me.
It got my attention.
Yes, because I'm totally not going to be up until, like, probably 3 a.m. this morning. Probably no life.
You have something else to be doing there, sir.
Yeah. One, I have to go do laundry, but 2, I also passed a tutorial, which is something I always try to do. So it makes me feel better. I'm going to try to burn through it at work at lunch.
I get it. But no, I mean, hey, feel free to read more. I mean, we'll definitely get to it when we get to it, but I don't feel free to read more. I'll wait but you love Power Rangers. I don't blame you one bit.
Fucking love Power Rangers.
Right, I think that. So I just want to say, if you enjoyed this episode, there are all the Power Rangers that we have done so far will be in the show notes. You can see our whole power. We're starting to build a catalog of Power Ranger stuff, by the way, guys. Like we went from nothing to about like 10. I think there's like 8 or so episodes. It's getting there. So if you want to go hear that, it'll all be in the show notes. There will eventually be more of these. I just don't know when, but there will be. And if you want to. And if you want to support, so we do a Patreon, little dog about our Patreon poll. You will see a link in the show notes to the Patreon. We do comics, video games, movies, all sorts of different type of shows. So check out our giant catalog. You find everything we do on Podbean. We also have a Discord. Please join our Discord. We always want more people to join us, talk with us. And we're going to shout out my awesome intro and outro courtesy of Helena at Hell Half-Streak. Follow her on TikTok, Twitch, Instagram. Give a shout out to A Gamer Looks at 40 with Bill Tucker. Definitely go check him out. He's on the show quite often. And please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Threads, YouTube, audio only, but we can be found on all those different things. I think that's everything I need to say, so we will see you guys all next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.